Each of the US crash standards, DoS or ASTM, use two different indicators to determine the level of the barrier. First, we have the crash rating. That's denoted on the DoS by the letter K. There's only one vehicle in the DoS standard that makes this, so that makes this a little bit easier. K4 is a 15,000 pound vehicle traveling at 30 miles an hour. K8 is a 15,000 pound vehicle traveling at 40 miles an hour. And finally, K12 is a 15,000 pound vehicle traveling at 50 miles an hour. The second indicator is the penetration rating. L indicates the vehicle's front bumper distance of penetration upon impact with the barrier. And this is under the original standard from 1985. Just in case I got people shaking their heads out there. L3 equals a vehicle penetration of 1 meter or 3 foot or less. L2 is a vehicle penetration of 1.01 meters to 6 meters or 20 feet. And L1 was a vehicle penetration of 6.01 meters or 20 feet 1 inch to 15 meters or 50 feet. This was the rule from 1985 until 2003, when it was replaced by Rev A. The most significant changes from the standard to the Rev A were, number one, that they removed the penetration ratings of L2 and L1. So they basically said if it wasn't L3, it wasn't acceptable to the DoS. And it was considered basically a fail in their minds. The second largest change was it moved the penetration point from the front bumper of the truck to the leading edge of the truck bed. So it pushed it back approximately 8 feet. The reason they did that is they were looking more at payload and explosives in a payload than they were at the vehicle penetration. So they wanted to push that back a little bit. And lastly, it's standardized on the type of vehicle that would be considered acceptable for the crash test, because before this point, you could use just about any type of medium duty vehicle, whether it's gasoline or diesel, as long as it weighed 15,000 pounds. So it could be a water truck with a bumper height of 12 inches that came in, or a standard truck with a bumper height of 20 inches or 26 inches or whatever. So it changed the vehicle. So this standardized that vehicle to a medium duty diesel truck that was 15,000 pounds. So it was specific to the make and manufacturer and model. Remember a couple of minutes ago when I mentioned the term crash tested? If the barrier was tested to the DoS Rev A standard and the penetration was more than 1 meter, it failed the test. But that didn't preclude the manufacturer from selling the barrier as a crash tested barrier. It also didn't, it stopped them at that point from being able to get that barrier on the DoD list. However, the DoD list includes a lot of L2 and L1 barriers that were grandfathered in from 1985 to 2003. So it was crash tested. It didn't meet the standard of the Rev A. However, they were actually giving it an L2 penetration or an L1 penetration. So it was definitely didn't preclude the manufacturer from selling that barrier.